author John Maxwell said, if you go out to visit John Wooden, which, by the way, famous coach of the UCLA team, won 6 national championships or 7, he said you'd probably find him sweeping the floor. Great story, and it goes to this character trait of John Wooden being this legendary coach who was also a legendary servant. And he did that. And I remember distinctly being on these baseball fields as a kid, late at night after all the games were done. My dad would be out raking the field. So I'm standing near a pitcher's mound, and you can see below me, there's like spots where the pitcher's feet would land. After he throws the pitch, there's a spot where his foot would land, and what it creates is a low spot. And what happens at the low spot is water will settle in that low spot and make it muddy, but not if you throw some dirt on it and rake it later after all the games are done. And so I remember learning how to manage and how to take care of a baseball field from my dad, because he was the guy who would be here late and get here early. We'd come early to line the field. We'd put the string down and put the chalk down, and that was what we did pregame. And then postgame, we raked and we watered. And I remember asking him one time, Dad, why do we rake and water right after the game? And he goes, so that the field is ready for the teams tomorrow. And I just thought, wow, what a life lesson. I learned that lesson here at Beachmont when I was, 9 or 10 years old, and it's really served me well as a dad and as a husband. I want to read a verse to you from the book of Matthew. It's Matthew 5, 40 and 41. Jesus said, and if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. We've all heard that phrase, go the extra mile. And that was a radical statement that Jesus is making. If you don't know the context, Romans could come into anybody in their territory and say, hey, you have to carry my stuff for 1 mile. And you just had to. There was a law and you just had to do it. And so what Jesus is saying is, instead of just doing the bare minimum, instead of just doing the thing you're required to do, what if you did the thing you're required to do and you doubled it? Wow, what kind of witness would we have if we were the 2 mile people, if we were extra mile kind of dads, where if our family required X, we did 2X. If our wife required X, we did 2X. What would that feel like in our homes? And that leads us right to this week's mission. The question we want to wrestle with in this week's mission is, where in my life am I going just that first mile? Where am I going just that first mile? Is it in my daily devotion where I do a 5-minute check the box because I want to go tell my accountability group, oh yeah, I read the Bible all week, and we're just checking the box? Is it with my wife where I just do the bare minimum? I do the honey-do list and I get all that done and then I check it off and I have an attitude about it. I don't do those extra things. Or is it with my kids where, oh yeah, I've got to listen to them at least once a day because, that's what a dad does, but I'm not really paying attention and I'm checking my phone. What would it look like in our families if this week you went the extra mile? So if your child wants to tell you this story and it goes on and on, I've told my kids so often, hey, shorter story, shorter. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I'm always in such a hurry. And so what if this week, when your kid finished his first story, you said, hey, you got another story? Tell me something else that happened at school. Or when your wife said, hey, do X, you went and did X and came back looking for Y or Z. What would it look like if you and I this week were extra mile dads in our homes? I dare you to go find out, because you're not a father on accident. So go be a father on purpose.